He shipped the oars. They came up dripping out of the black water, and he laid them across the thwarts, and the boat slowed and settled and began to drift in the white, and Marin's head came round in disbelief. "What are you doing? They're coming! I can hear them! Row!" "I will," Bevan said. "In a moment. First, you are going to tell me the truth, the whole of it, here where there is nothing but the fog to hear it. Because the last time I decided a life on half a story, I decided it wrong, and the someone who paid was my own girl, and I will not do that again, not for you and not against you. So, quickly, what did you do?" And the pursuer's oars came on through the white, closer, and the old man sat with his hands empty and waited, and the strait gathered cold around them and began in its way to listen too. So she told him, fast and low, and the fog drew it out of her the way it drew everything out in the deep middle, until he could not always tell what she was saying and what the mist was simply showing him. The child was hers. The child's father was the Margrave, who had taken her into his house as a seamstress 3 years ago and taken the rest of her not long after, the way such men take what they want. And she had borne his son in a back room and been kept quiet and kept close, a shameful secret in fine clothes. And then the Margrave's wife, who had given him no son, and saw her whole standing in the world threatened by the one squalling in the servants' wing, had given the order any threatened queen in any age has given, that the boy was not to see the spring. Marin had heard it from the cook who loved her. She had taken her son and a kitchen knife and gone out through the scullery in the dark, and a guard at the postern had caught her arm, and she had put the knife in him. "I don't know if he's dead. I didn't wait to see. I only needed his hand off me." And she had run and run, and the coast road had brought her here, to the fog, and the old man, and the last mile of water between her boy and the people who wanted him cold. It was a true story. Bevan had heard 10,000 stories on this water and watched the fog confirm or betray them, and this one rang true. The grief in it true, the terror true, the love for the child fierce and unmistakable, and exactly the thing he had glimpsed in the vapor. And yet, there was a thread in it that did not lie flat, a small wrong mote that his 40 years of reading frightened passengers snagged on and would not release. The bundle. The child was wrapped against the cold and the wet in a blanket of a weight and a fineness that no servant girl fleeing through a scullery with a kitchen knife stops to grab, a heavy, costly, embroidered thing, the kind of cloth that swaddles an heir who is wanted, not a secret who is doomed. And when he had asked, at the jetty, what the boy was called, she had answered a half-beat too late, the way people answer when they are choosing a name rather than remembering one. Small things. Perhaps nothing. Perhaps a frightened woman grabs the nearest blanket and it happens to be fine. Perhaps a terrified mother stumbles over her own child's name. Or perhaps the story that rang so true was true in every part but one, and the one was the part that mattered. And he was being rowed by his own pity, straight past a question he had sworn he would never again leave unasked. The pursuers were very close now. He had perhaps a minute before he had to choose between rowing and being taken, and the truth she had given him sat in the boat between them, mostly solid and faintly, terribly cracked. He could trust her. He could decide that the grief and the terror and the love were the truth, and the blanket and the halfpint were nothing. That a man who demands a fugitive prove every thread of her story before he saves her child has not learned mercy at all, but only found a more careful way to refuse it, and that he had stopped the boat to face her, and had faced her, and found in the main and in the things that mattered, a desperate mother. And he could take up the oars and finish the crossing on the strength of that, and trust her the rest of the way he had not trusted Era to simply be saved without arrangements. Or he could press the crack. He could refuse to move the boat one more stroke until she explained the fine blanket and the stumbled name, could hold them both there in the closing fog, and force the last hidden thing up into the light, however dangerous the light was, on the conviction that the small wrong note is always the true note, and that a mercy built on a lie he half saw and chose not to look at would not be mercy, but only another careful man's comfortable blindness wearing mercy's coat. to make her show him the Barothat. Even now, even with the hunters a boat's length away in the white, because if he was going to risk his life for this child, he would do it knowing exactly whose child he carried and what she truly was.